Hi guys, it's Rain here, and today I'm talking about my tips of living with a disability. This disability in particular I'm talking about today is dyslexia. I don't like to call it a learning disability because while that's what it's classed as, it does affect pretty much all aspects of your life. My first tip is to actually study and not really study, but find out what dyslexia really means and all of the symptoms that come with it. This is probably the biggest and most important tip that I can give to you. It pretty much is like the basis of all the tips that I have to talk about later. But the reason that this is so important is because if you know what symptoms dyslexia has, and you know what it actually means and what it actually does to your body and why you think differently than, say, your counterparts or your siblings or all these other things, and why some things are hard for you, it is, without knowing what dyslexia means and how it affects you, it's really easy to fall into a self-deprecating mindset, being like, oh, why can't I memorize this? It's such a basic thing that everyone knows. I must be stupid, or I must be too dumb to do these things, or I must not be capable enough, when in reality it's just a symptom of how your brain works and your disability. That's why it's very important to know all the symptoms. Plus, the term learning disability kind of is like, oh, it only really affects you when you're learning, but there's so many other symptoms that affect your day-to-day life. If you have dyslexia, it usually is paired with other disabilities like anxiety and depression, and sometimes it's very common for people to have ADHD like I do. And it also has a bunch of other symptoms like having a difficult with the concept of time, or being very difficult with the concept of directions, like being very directionally challenged. And that's how it affects your life. So knowing how it's not just a learning disability and it is actually how you function in society is very important for your mental health and how you're going to function for the rest of your life. My second thing is, based off the symptoms that affect you the most, build a plan that can help you manage those symptoms. For example, I have a very hard time with the concept of time. I have a very hard time telling what time of day it is, or if it's been 30 minutes or 2 hours. I have a very hard time with it. So if I know that I have a task that needs to be done at 2, say I need to go to work at 2, and it's 12, I have that 2-hour period to do homework. But if I don't set timers, I won't know. If I don't set timers, then I won't know what time of day it is or how long I've actually been studying. And then I'll be late for work, or I will not actually do any of the homework that I set that chunk of time to do because I'm off doing other things, or I'm not focusing. So it's stuff like that. Or if you're directionally challenged, know that you probably need a GPS. Even if you think you know where you're going, GPSs are your friends. I promise. And then my third thing is trying to find what works for you. For example, if this is particular to the academic proportion of the problem with dyslexia, and for me, I wanted to be very academically profound. I wanted to get an education, and I wanted to be a scientist or something like that. So for me, it was very important that I caught up to my peers and I understood what they were learning, and I knew what they were learning. So I had to spend extra hours just trying to figure out what the material meant for me and how I need to metabolize it and how I need to learn it. But if that isn't your goal, if your goal isn't to be super academically like up there, and you're just like, oh, I want to be a Uber Eats driver, you know that you are directionally challenged and you need to figure out what way is going to help you learn how to be more directionally sound. I have a kind of an example. I can make a video about all of the ways that like helped me get to the point where I am today, like academically. This isn't really that type of video, but I can go into it later if you'd like. So, like, a thing that worked for me is even though I had a really hard time memorizing names, memorizing dates, I was good with concepts, and I was good with rhythms, and I was good with, like, poems, and I was good with, like I said, concepts. So, turning things that sound like they need to be memorized into a song, or into a concept, or into, like, a little catchphrase, so it's more of a little fun thing that you know, rather than a piece of information that you have to remember, like a name or a date or that type of thing. For example, this is an example from middle school. I am now a freshman in college, so it's been like 5 years and I still remember this information, so if that gives you anything. Like, in middle school, I had to learn how the United States grew as a country and how we, like, grew, right? So, the Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the colonies. And how I remembered that was Neapolitan ice cream made the United States 2 times bigger. And you might be thinking, what the hell? Neapolitan ice cream, or Napoleon, sold the Louisiana Purchase to the United States and made us 2 times bigger. But I knew that the United States were seen as fat, so Napoleon ice cream made the United States 2 times bigger. So it's like things like that, being able to find things that work for you. Maybe you're the exact opposite and you have a hard time remembering concepts, but you're really good at remembering names. You could do something like the opposite. You'd be like, I don't know anymore. I think you can figure it out from what I just said, but I believe in you. But if you need more help, I'm so willing to spend some more time on it and create a different YouTube video. And then D is finding people that understand and people who are willing to help. People who understand don't necessarily have to be willing to help you, but it is important because it is a really common disability. Like, I think 1 in 8 people have dyslexia. Having people who understand or have the disability is really important, because if you're having a really bad day with your disability, I know sometimes when I'm tired, my disability gets way worse and it's hard for me to even read. Having someone who is there and who understands and doesn't take it upon, like, doesn't force you to do anything that you aren't comfortable doing, or doesn't force you to work through it when you just aren't okay to do that today, is really important for your mental health and for making you feel like you are okay and you're not less than your peers. And finding people who can help, for example, if you have parents or you have teachers or you find tutors or literally anyone who's willing to sit down with you and make you do your work and make you try and figure out what works for you, is really important. Though it is mainly like on yourself to find out what you need and on yourself to put in that work, finding people who are willing to sit down with you and try and help you is so important. My parents were that with me, and for some reason I can understand the concept of 8, so my dad and my mom sprayed like shaving cream on the dinner table and made me write out like figure 8s in the shaving cream on the dinner table so I could figure out what an 8 was and now it's my favorite number, so I don't know if that's correlated, but that is the thing. And then I think that's all I have for you guys today. If I can think of any more, I'll probably put it in another video. If you guys can think of anything in the comments that you think is really important and needs to be mentioned, go ahead, put it in there. If I might make another video with it in there. I might ask some of my other friends who are disabled or who have dyslexia to help with that. But yeah, for sure. See you guys later. Bye.